Hello and welcome everybody. This is Vitunjay Thakur and this is lecture 6 of the complete Python programming course. So this is the sixth lecture. In this lecture we will be studying about functions in Python. So we have in the previous lecture we have studied about a lot of things like variable creation, what are loops, how do we create loops, and we also did some patterns, like the patterns that we can make using the loops. So we did all these things. So now we will be moving on to some like one of the most important topics of Python, which is functions. So we will be discussing functions in this lecture. This is going to be a very important lecture, so I want you to watch this lecture in a very disciplined manner. Okay, so please, whenever you are watching this lecture, try to make some notes in this lecture as well, because this is going to be very important. Okay, this will help us to reduce the like length of our code, like when we learn functions, how to we will be learning about this in a very short period of time right now. Okay, so this lecture will be like about 1 hour long. Okay, so you can watch this if you want to watch this lecture as for revision, you can watch this as well. And if you want to watch this like video lecture for the first time, like you do not know about functions, you can still watch this. Okay, so this will be beneficial for everyone who is interested in learning functions. uh, Before now moving on, I would like to I would like to tell you that please, if you are watching this lecture for the first time, start watching the lecture from the first lecture. Okay, if you are watching this course, why? Because if you do not start it from the first lecture, you won't be able to understand a lot of things, because I have explained a lot of things in a from very basic to advanced. Okay, so if you want to be good in programming, you should watch it from the first lecture. Now, before moving on, there's one more thing I would like to tell you, which is you need to practice a lot. So if you think that I learn some syntax, and after I won't learn for 2 3 days, then I will learn after some. Then you will start learning again. So it will create like you will feel that you know something, but you won't be able to implement it when you try to actually solve some problem. So you need consistency, you need to be consistent, because programming demands consistency. So for being a good programmer, you need to have a good, you need to be consistent. Okay, this is very important for a programmer. Okay, now let us move on to the next slide, which is learning objectives. So in this slide, we will be discussing what are the learning objectives of this video. Okay, so what the learning objectives are, like we will be understanding what are functions. We will be creating our own functions. We will be discussing about how do we call functions. Okay, so and after that we will discussing about what are parameters and what are arguments. So these two are very important things that we will be discussing. Okay, then we will be discussing about what is the return value, what are return values, and then we will discuss local and global variables. And at the end we will be learning about recursion is very important. It is similar to loop, like the working is similar, but it is different. Okay, in its own way. So we will be discussing about all these things, and at the end we will discuss, like we will be doing some solving some real world problems using functions and this lecture is going to be very interesting and very important as well. So you need to watch it this very carefully and very and with a lot of focus. Okay, and if you do not understand something, like topics will be difficult, please watch this again and again, because this whenever someone learns about functions or recursion, they do like feel that some topics are difficult, nobody understand, like very few people get to understand it in the first go. So if you do not understand this in first for the in the first time, like, so you can just watch it again. Why? Because this is very important topic, and you need to have a good understanding of this topic. Okay, so I would recommend you to learn this very carefully. Okay, now let's move on. So first we will discuss why do we need functions. Now imagine you are creating like you are making some software and okay, so what you will do, like you will have to write a lot of code. Okay, so suppose there is a like requirement where you need to so where you have to calculate simple interest for the like area of some triangle and all. So you but you have to calculate it like suppose 100 times. Okay, so for if you do not use functions, you will have to write 100 different codes for different kind of data, like different kind of triangle rectangles. Okay, so for separate like different rectangles, you will have to write separate codes. Okay, so like you will write, you will create some variable which will store the dimension of the rectangle, and then you will calculate data like area using like length by multiplying length with the breadth. Okay, so but what if we use functions? So functions will help us to like help us to reduce the length of the code. So you when we create a function once, and then we can use it again and again wherever it is needed. Okay, so you need to just define the like formula for like create a function and define this, like how do we calculate area like length into this. So you while defining the function, you write the formula into that function, and whenever you need to calculate the area, you can just call the function only. You do not need to write a whole formula again. Okay, now let us move on to the next slide, which is what is a function. So function is nothing but a usable block code which is designed to perform some specific task. So I have already said that whenever we have to like do a specific calculation again and again, we do not need to write it every time. We can just create a function and call that function and use it wherever it is needed. So instead of writing the same code multiple times, we can write it once inside a function and call it whenever it is required. Okay, I hope you are getting this. If you are not getting this, watch it again. Why? Because this will be very important topic, and I just hope that you understand this very well, because I want my students to know what a function is. Okay, now we will be discussing what advantages of functions. Let's see what are the advantages. Code reusability. What is code reusability? Means like we have written a code, some 3-4 lines of code while defining a function, and we can use that code again and again without having to write the whole thing again. Okay, we can just call the function and we do not have to write it again. Okay, then better organization while defining like when we use functions, like the organization of code, like everything becomes very better, very good. Okay, easy maintenance, like functions is easy to maintain. We can use like when we create functions, it becomes very easy for us to maintain. Why? Because whenever we need to make changes somewhere, we just need to change the or update the code of the specific function only. We do not have to write change everything. Improve readability. It is very like when we create functions, it improves the readability of our code. So if other programmer sees it, they will be able to be able to understand this very easily. Okay, then this is faster development and modular programming. Modular programming means like when we divide a very big program into some specific blocks, these are called modules, and functions help us to create those things. And this is called modular programming, in which we create some separate module out of a big task, out of a big box. Suppose like there is a big box, and we are cutting each and and like suppose we have to make a big cuboid. Okay, so for that reason we put together some smaller cubes to make a very big cuboid. Okay, now we will be discussing about some built-in functions. So like built-in functions are those functions that are already provided by Python language. So it is very useful functions, like they are very useful. Some of them we have used already. We have used print function. Like print is also a function. What is it used for? It is used for like displaying the output that we need. That input function, what is it used for? We have already used it. Why? What is the use of input function? We have used input functions for taking input from the user. Like whenever we want the user to like enter some value, we can use input function for that, and he will give us, like the user will be able to enter the value that he wants to enter. Then there is a len function. What is the use of len function? Let me show it to you. So we will go to, like I want you to open the VS Code. Now I want all of you to open the VS Code. Okay, so now we will let me just create a file. Okay, I have created a file. Now what I will do is use this len function. So this len function is used for like finding the length of a string or a list or a tuple. What are a list and tuple and string? We will discuss about these things later on. But let me show you in a very small example of this. Suppose I create a variable name equals to, and I store a string value which is any name. So like string is nothing but uh, collection of some characters. Okay, so let's suppose the name is Rohit. Okay, this is the name. So when I use len function on this variable name, it will give me the number of characters present in it. So uh, now if I run this, I will get what, uh, 5. Why? Because there are 5 characters in it, like ROHI, like 5 characters in there. So like uh, if there is something else like Rohit, suppose Singh. Now if I run this, what will I get? I will get 10 characters. Now if I add, like suppose space bar, let me add a space bar. Now let us run this. Now what will be the output? 11. So it is counting space bar as well. So it will give us the number of places that stores the value. So to store something, so this place stores something, will count 1. Then this like total numbers, like places that has some value is stored in it. Okay, now let me show you let me show it to you in the context of some list. So now right now you do not know list. Let me just tell you, list is nothing but collection of some data types. Okay, just think about it in this way right now. Okay, so now when I create a list, suppose it, the list name is person. Okay, now it will store the name of the person. Suppose its name is right now X, like XYZ is the name, and it his age, suppose 18. Okay, now if I do this, now if I print the length of this person list, it will give me the number of values stored in, like number of different kind of values. So this like comma is used to separate two types. So this is different and this is different, so it will give me the number of different these like data. Now if I add something like uh, suppose I write true, true. Now if I run this, it is giving me 3. So it is nothing but giving me the number of data that is stored in this list. Okay, I hope you understood this. This is very simple. Okay, it is just giving us the length. Okay, now comes the type function. We have already used this type function. What is it used for? It is used to check the data type of the uh, variable. Okay, now let me just do this. Now if I run this, let's see the output. It is giving me list. What is the class? It is giving us the list. Okay, now if I just create some other variable, suppose the variable name is int, sorry, int is not, cannot be named as a variable because it is just int is a keyword which we cannot use. Why? Because it has already some specific meaning. Okay, let me just name it as num. Now I store some value, like suppose 18. Now if I run, like want to find out the data type of it, type, it will give me integer. Why? because this is type of value that is being stored here. Now if I do this 18.0, now if I run this, it will give me float. Okay, as you can see, it is giving us float. So we need to keep this in mind, that these functions are used like very useful for sometimes, and these are built-in functions. Why is it called built-in function? Why? Because this is already like present in the Python language. We do not have to create these kind of functions. Yes, we can also create functions as per our requirement. So, but these functions are already like comes already with the Python language. Okay. Now another built-in function is max. So max value is like, suppose we have a list. Suppose this is a list which stores some value like 90, 78, and 7. Now if I print max of list, like list is the name of the list that we have created. Now if I run this, I will get 90. Why? Because 90 is the largest number that is stored here in this list. Now if I add another number, suppose like 100 I'm adding. Now if I run this, I will get 100. Why? Because it is giving us maximum that is present in this iterable. Okay. So now if I do this like min, if I use another function which is, it has a similar kind of like working, but it just gives us the minimum value that is stored. Now right now it is 7, but if I remove 7 right now, it will give me 78. Why? Because it is the minimum number right now stored in. Okay, so max is used for finding maximum number, min is used for minimum number. Now here comes another built-in function which is sum. Now what is sum used for? Suppose this is the list, and now what I want is, I want the like sum of these three numbers. First one thing is that you can do like manually, you can add these things, but if you want sum you can do this, like use this function as well, which is print sum, and inside the bracket I will add the name of the list variable. Okay, now if I run this, I will get 268, which is the output that we require. This is the sum of these three numbers. Okay, now if I add something like suppose 1000, I will get 1200, like 1268 is the output that we will be getting. Okay, so I hope that you understood what are the uses of these functions. We just need to keep these things in our mind, that uh, these functions like are some built-in functions that are required, like we need these functions sometimes, so you can use this function whenever you want. Okay, now let us move on to the next slide, which is going to be about user defined functions. So like just like built-in functions, there are different kind of functions which are like, which is defined by the user, like you and me. When we create a function, it will be called user defined functions. So why do we create functions? To reduce the like length of the like code and use it again and again for reusability. We have already discussed this. So this is the syntax means rule for creation of the function. Like I have already told you that just like the language in English language has grammar, Python language has syntax. These syntax are something that we all need to follow. Okay, so this is the syntax. Okay, as you can see, this is the syntax here. So now let me create a function like here it is already given. We will be creating the same function, which is greet function. What is it used for greeting someone? So let me just create a greet function. Okay, how do we create it? We use a def keyword. Def is not like defining something, like def is used for defining a function. So you can like understand this. Then we will write the spacebar tab. Like after writing def, we will enter spacebar, and then we will write the name of the function that we want to give. Okay, you can name anything. Now let me give it the name which is greet. Okay, greet is the name of this function, and then we need to add parenthesis. Okay, so right now we are not writing anything in this parenthesis. There's something always written in this parenthesis. Like we also can write something in this parenthesis, sorry, but right now it is not required. Okay, now you need to add colon. Okay, after adding colon, when you press enter, if you are using VS Code, you will automatically move on to the next line with indented space. So this indentation is required for, because this is in the syntax. You do not write this like with indentation, you will get error. Okay, now what I want to print, like now I will enter like hello. Okay, how are you? This is the message that I wanted to print. Okay, this function is going to display this message. Okay, now for it to display this message, like we have created a function, now we do not need anything else. Now what we need is for this to execute. Let me just run it first. If I run this right now, you will see that if I run this right now, you will see that nothing is being printed. Okay, as you can see, nothing is printed. Why? Because we did not use call, we did not call this function. So after defining the function, if you want it to be executed, we need to call the function. So how do we call the functions? Just write its name. Right, I have written its name. Now add parenthesis. After writing its name and adding parenthesis, if I run this like program now, this will be executed. Why? Because now I have called the function. So calling the function is also very important for us. Okay, now suppose if I do not call this function, nothing will be printed. Why? If like function calling is used when we need to execute the function. Like suppose there was nothing sort of this sort of rule, then whenever we created the function, it will get executed. The then the proper usability will not be good. Okay, so we use functions only when it is necessary. Right now it is necessary, like I want to show it to you, then that's why I wanted to print. But if we do not have, like if we do not have such kind of rules, it would have printed otherwise, like anyway. So this would not have been the desired outcome. Okay, now let us move on to the next slide. Sorry, next slide, which is function execution. How is a function executed? Like function is executed like this. uh, First we define a function. Okay, this whole part is function definition. In this part we have given a name to the function and defined what is the use of the function, what is it going to do. Like we have told it like this function, like our computer, that this function is going to print this message. Okay, now this is called function definition. Okay, now function definition, the next part is called function calling. So after function definition, we need to call this function. This is called function call. If we do not call this function, nothing will be executed. Okay, after that, this is the next part shows us a function execution. What is a function execution? Means the function is executed after function calling. When we run this, the function is executed, and after the execution we will get the output. So this is the sequence. As you can see, it is mentioned here. So it moves in this direction. So it starts from here, then it moves in this direction. Okay, yeah, like this. So first this part happens, then this part, then this, sorry, then this. Okay, so we need to keep all this thing in mind. Okay, now let us move on to the next slide, which is to talking about parameters. So what are parameters? So sometimes like our function needs some data to work. Suppose you create a function to like to greet only, but when we create a program, when you open your windows, it tells you now that welcome, whatever name is welcome. Suppose my name is Mrityunjay, it tells me why when we uh, when we open our like start our windows, it tells me like welcome Mrityunjay. Okay, in the same way, if we wanted to do something like that, we need some data. These data that are used in the function definition are called parameters. Okay, so when we create, suppose this greet function, suppose this greet function, if I like create a variable inside it, we do this inside this parenthesis. Okay, now I created this name. Okay, so this name I and I will print like I will remove this from here. Okay, and do this like this. Hello, after comma I will write name. Okay, so when I like, this is very important thing, when you create a like function with a parameter, so when calling the function you need some data here. This is called the actual data that you will be passing inside the function while calling it will be called argument. So suppose the name is Sumit. Okay, suppose the name is Sumit. This is called argument. This Sumit, this actual name is called argument, and this variable, the name, this variable is called parameter here. So when I run this, it will print hello Sumit, how are you? Okay, so this is something that we all need to keep in mind, that when we want our function to do some work with using some data, we will give it, like we will define it by having, by defining some parameters to it. And when we define some parameters while calling the function, we need some data which are called arguments. If I do not do this, like suppose if I just remove this, I am just not passing anything. Now if I am running this, like we are getting an error. Why? Because this is type greet like is missing. It tells us the greet is missing required positional argument, which is name. Okay, so we all need to keep this in mind. Now let us move on to the next slide, which says multiple parameters. Okay, so we can give multiple parameters to a function definition. Suppose this function is here. Now if I want to add age as well, I can add it very well. And if I print, suppose print your age is age. Now if I do this, it is going to give us, so it is going to print age as well. So we can give any number, n number of arguments, like if it's a parameters, if we want to, it totally depends upon us, like how convenient it is for us to give all these things. Now but you need to keep this in mind, that the number of parameters that you have passed should be equal to the number of argument that you use while calling the function generally. Okay, generally, why I'm telling this generally, we'll be learning about this in this video, as in this same video. Do not worry. So right now let me show you. The name is suppose Sumit, and after Sumit, the next argument if you want to write, we will have to enter like enter comma. Okay, write comma and enter, like I'm entering the age, suppose it is 18. Okay, now if I'm going to execute this, I will get this thing, hello Sumit, how are you, your age is 18. Okay, I hope you understood this. Like we can use any number of like parameters in this. Okay, now arguments versus parameters. What are arguments? We have already discussed that variable inside a function definition is known as like parameter, and what is argument, actual value that is passed to the function is called argument. Okay, we have already discussed this. Suppose here is an example, which is, it has created a function that is named add. So add is used here. A and B are parameters, and the arguments are 10 and 20. Okay, I have to understood. Now let us discuss types of arguments. So there are several types of arguments. The first is positional argument. So as you can see here, what is a positional argument? Positional argument means, for like when I have created this like function and added like entered two parameters, name and age, and when calling the function I have entered Sumit first, then 18. So this means this Sumit will be associated to this variable, and this 18 age will be associated to this variable like parameter. But if I reverse this, suppose if I reverse this and enter, sorry, Sumit now, so it will reverse the order. So this is what positional argument means, that order is necessary. Right now, as you can see here, now you will see hello 18, your age is 7. So it has reversed the order. So when we reverse this, like while calling the function, when we reverse the order of argument, uh, in the output will be the same. So this 18 now will be stored here. So this is called positional argument. The like the number, like argument that you enter first will be associated to the first position of the parameter, and the argument that you enter second will be associated to the second one. Okay, let us read this. Arguments are assigned to based on their positions. Okay, so if the for correct output, the position should be like correct. The order of the position should be correct. If the order is not correct, we will get wrong output. Okay, as you can, as you had this, like as we saw earlier in this case, like we got uh, something like different, like hello 18. This is not making any sense. So we, for something to make sense, we need it in correct order. Now second argument type of argument is keyword argument. So while defining, like while arguments are being passed uh, to a function, like when we call a function and we need to pass the argument, we can use the name of parameters together with it. So when I do this, like name equals to Sumit and age equals to 18, when I do, like when I pass these two things, this can be called as keyword argument. Okay, so now let me tell you one more thing. As you have seen in the previous case, order was necessary. So first you had to write Sumit, then age. But in this case, the order is not necessary. Let me show it to you. Now suppose I have written it like this. So right now, even if I execute this, the output will still be same. Why? It is saying hello Sumit and your age is 18. Why it is still the same? Even if the order is like reverse, like age is first written and Sumit is written later on. Why? Because we have used the keyword. We have already described it, that what argument will be associated to age and which argument will be associated to name. So this is the advantage of using a keyword argument. Okay, now one thing that you need to keep in mind is that if you created, right, if you have done this, like first argument is a keyword argument and second argument is the non-keyword argument, it will give you an error. So if the first argument is a keyword argument, second argument should be a keyword argument as well. If you do not do this, you will get an error. So if I do this like this, name, it will not show me an error. But now here's come another twist. Now if the first argument is not a keyword argument, but the second argument is a keyword argument, as you can see, first argument is not a first argument is not a keyword argument, the second argument is a keyword argument, I'm still getting an error. Why? Because uh, why? Because this 18 is not defined, like I have not written any specific name of the argument, but so it will like associate it with name. But in the next line, like next after comma, I have written this name equals to Sumit, and it will try to associate name with Sumit as well. So this is giving giving two types of argument to a same parameter at the same time. So that is why we are getting an error. Okay, but let's suppose, let us suppose if I do this, uh, let's suppose I do this, I write, I write SUMIT Sumit, then I write age equals to 18. Now let's see what will happen. Now I am getting the correct output. So this is also a very interesting part, that when you do this in the same order as the parameter given, then you will get the correct output. Here I have not written like first this one, this Sumit is not a keyword argument. I have just passed it like normally. But the next one is like keyword argument. Why? Because I have associated and used the name of the parameter as well. So this is keyword argument, but it is not giving me an error. Why? Because what will happen right now here in this code, when this is executed, the function will associate Sumit to name, but and age will be associated, like 18 will be given to age. So in this there will be no conflict, so that is why it is like being executed normally. Now let us move on to the next type of argument, which is default argument. So suppose we are like default arguments are those types of argument which are stored like default like in the function already. So when I do this something like this 19, suppose this will be the default age. Like if we do not enter age, like suppose I do not pass age now, if we do not pass age now, there will be no error. Okay, age is 19. But if I do this, if I do not pass age equals to something and run this, I will get an error. So default argument are so those pre-saved are arguments that help us to escape error. So if I even if I do not give age argument for age, I won't get an error. This is called default argument. But if I am getting age as 19, why it is set here. But if I do this, if I enter any age, it will override it. So now if I run this, now age will be 18. Okay, interesting, I guess so. Let us move on to the next type of argument, which are variable length arguments. So when we do not know the length of the argument that we are using, we use variable length argument. So here is an example. It is used star args. Why have it used? Like it is accept multiple positional arguments. If we do not know here, add numbers, print numbers. Now if we are printing numbers, we do not know how many numbers do we need to print. Suppose I create a function ref print num. This is a function name, and I write star a. It means I do not know the number of number like integer that will be entered. Now in the next line, I will do this print a. Now if I run this, if I call the function print num and pass suppose 10, let's see the output. It is giving me 10. Now if I enter 20, it is giving me 20. So this is used for variable length argument when we do not know the number of integer that we need, like here in this case integer we have entered. So it is in this case it is used. So in the same way, this is called keyword argument, multiple keyword argument, stored like this stored value in dictionary, and the previous one used to stored value in tuple, like this is called tuple. This like parenthesis, inside this parenthesis these two data are stored. This is called tuple. We will discuss this in later on. Okay, so I am not going to discuss this in like these two arguments in very detail because you won't understand it right now. So we will discuss these two again in later lectures. Okay, now we come to the next part, which is called return statement. So what is return statement used for? Like we need to understand that functions can return values. Okay, so functions can return values. Suppose I do this def uh, like add a comma b, these two are the parameters, and I do this return a plus b. I'm returning this. Now if I like call this function, so let me remind you one thing. When we use return statement and do not use print statement, only return statement. So while calling this, we need to call this inside a print statement. Okay, if we do not call this, we call it normally like add 2 comma 5, it won't print anything. Okay, you will see. Let me show it to you here again. It won't, it is not printing anything. So I am going to call it inside a print function. Okay. I have called this inside a print function. Now if I run this, I am getting 7. So this return statement is used to return some value. Here it is returning summation of A and B. So I hope you now understood this. Okay. Now let us move on. Now this is called difference in print and return. Print displays output and return sends the value back. Okay, this is a difference. This is a difference between these two. Okay, now comes the local and global variable. What are local variable and what are global variable? So let's discuss this. Suppose I have created a variable a equals to, I have given it some value, suppose 10. 10 is the value that is stored here in this a. Now if I create a function define, I create a function, suppose uh, square. Square is the name of the function. Okay, and I create another variable here a, same name a, equals to, suppose if I write like, now in this, inside this function I am giving it another value, different value, which is 5. And I will do this now, print a, print a into a. So square of a I am printing. Now let us see what it is going to print us when we call this function. Okay, so square. Remember this, we have not given it any parameters. We have just, so it will, we do not have to give this any argument. Okay, we can just simply run this code and we are going to get 25. Now here comes the catch. A equals to 10, we have previously discussed this, like defined this, and in the next line we have like done this, like a equal to uh, 5. So inside the function we give it a equal to 5, and outside we have done this like a equals to 10. These two are different things, but it is printing us the output for a equals to 5. So this is called local and global variable. This is also a variable with the same name, and this is also, as we have also, we already know that we cannot create this variable, like we already have created a variable here, but these two are uh, behaving like this. A is not being used here. So this, now let me tell you what is the meaning of a local and global variable. Local means native. Okay, so this a equals to 5 is only native to this function, square function. What does it mean? It means that it will be used only when this function is called. Okay, now this function is called here, it is going to print us 50, like 25. But now, right, if I do this print outside the function, I am using a print statement a into a. Let's see what is it going to print us. It is printing 100. First it is printing 100. Why? Because a is equals to 10, and then it is printing 25. So this means this a equals to 10, this a equals to 10 is outside the function a, like this function square function that we have created. So this is global variable. Let me tell you why it is global variable. This can be accessed from anywhere. Okay, you can access this function from anywhere, but this function inside a equals to 5 cannot be accessed from L, can only be accessed inside the function. Outside the function, this function won't be, like this variable won't be accessed. Let me show it to you. I have commented this out, like a part, this variable that I have created outside, I have commented this out. Now if I print this a into a is already defined, but it is defined inside this function square. So when I run this, I will get an error. Why? Because this a is can only be accessed or used inside this square function. Outside of it, it cannot be used. Okay, now if I, let me just remove the comment, and let's do one more thing. We have seen that this a equals to 5 can only be accessed inside the function only. Now let me just remove this a equals to 5 from this function. Let me just comment it out. Okay, now I have not defined any a inside the function. Now if I run this, I will get 100. This is the like case that we need to keep this in mind, that this a equals to 10, this a equals to 10 can be accessed outside of the function and inside of the function as well, where it doesn't matter if a variable is defined inside the function or not. Okay, so a variable is not defined inside the function, it is defined outside, but it can still be accessed inside this function. This is a global variable. Why? Because it can be like accessed from anywhere. Global means, like, suppose in the context of our world, there is a global like suppose United Nations, that is a global government kind of thing, but government of India is only local and responsible for the people of India only. But United Nations, although does not hold that much power, but for example purpose we can understand that it has to take care of people from whole world, like it sends peacekeeping mission, like distribute vaccines and all, tries to stop war, although it cannot stop any war. It has not been able to stop any war, but you can understand this. So this is the use of local and global variable. These two are the local. This is called local variable, and this is global variable. Local variable are exist only inside a function, okay, and global variable are accessible throughout the program. So whenever you create a global variable, you can access it anywhere. Whether you want to access it inside the function, you can access it, or outside the function, does not matter. If the variable that has been created is global, it can be accessed from anywhere. Now comes this part which is called recursion. Okay, so we will be discussing recursion. So what is recursion? Whenever a function calls itself inside the same function. So if we have, suppose we have created a function and we call it inside it, okay, like we use the same function inside that function only, then it is called recursion. Why is it called recursion? It works similar to loop. Okay, so let me show it to you. Like, this is the program that we will be uh, using. Suppose I have created a variable called a. Sorry, suppose I created a. Okay, let me just create a variable. Okay, as it is created here, I will create a function, or let me just copy the same program I have. I hope it will be okay. I will copy the same program, same code, and show it to you. What is it actually? This recursion thing will be like very important for you, so I hope you look at it very carefully. Okay, this is a function name as countdown. What it will do, it will count from 10 to, suppose I enter value, like it is entered 5, but if I enter 10, it will count the like 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, until 1 it will count. Okay, what has happened here? It is like we have created a function and given it is name countdown, and given there is a parameter n. Okay, inside the function we have written, if n equals to 0, return. If n equals, like when n becomes 0, it will return, means it will not return, and it is after return we have not entered any value, it won't return any value, it will just go back and stop. Okay, you can understand it, like it will just terminate in this, just like a loop terminates. This is a stopping condition for this function, so it will terminate over there. Okay, you can understand it in this way. Okay, and if the n is not equals to 0, what it is going to print? It will first print n, and then the n will be updated, so n will become n minus 1, which is like, if, suppose it is 10, then it will become 9. Okay, so now if I run this, it is printing as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So as you can clearly see, this function, that which is countdown, has been called inside itself only. So it has been called here. So we are calling the same function inside its definition. This is called recursion. Okay, so when a function which is being created or defined is called inside itself while defining is called a recursion. Keep this in mind. Working is similar to a loop, but it is very important and very it is make our work more easier than a loop. It is very easy to form logic using this uh, recursion. So I hope you understood this. Now let us move on to the next slide, which is advantage of recursion. Elegant solutions. We will get like visually appealing. The code will be very readable. Okay. Suitable for tree structures. What are tree structures? Little advanced topic, but just remember this. If somebody asks you what is the use of like advantage of using recursion, just tell him that it is suitable for tree structure and useful in divide and conquer algorithms. These are algorithms that we will not be discussing in this course, but these are very important and algorithms. Okay, now here's a simple mini project that you can do. Okay, these as you have already seen, I have given you a lot of mini projects. Just as I have told you in the beginning of the lecture, like video lecture series, I will be giving you a lot of mini projects that you can do. This is a simple mini project which you can use to create like this. In this mini project you can create separate functions for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and create your own calculator, okay, using these functions. This is will help you to brush up your uh, topics. And so I hope that you will be solving this mini projects and creating this mini projects. Okay, now let us move on to the next slide, which is some practice questions. Okay, so as I have already told you that practice questions are very important for you to solve. Why? Because without solving practice questions you won't be able to truly grasp all the topics, all the concepts. So for you to understand all these things in a efficient manner, or for you to be very confident, you need to solve practice question. It is very necessary. So these are some of the practice questions that you have. You can pause this video, or after watching this video you can you can try to solve all these practice questions. Like suppose you can create a function to print your name. Let me just solve this. This is an easy question, so I will be solving this. Tough one you can do. Okay, def name. Suppose the name of the function is name, and sorry, names. Let me give it, and I will give it like a name of the parameter, which is name. Okay, now I'm going to print your name is name. I have created this function. Now I'm going to call this names. Sorry, names is the name of the function. Whatever your name is, suppose your name is Junaid. This is your name. So when I run this, I'm going to get your name is Junaid. So this is the function that we have created, which is used for printing some values, some numbers. You can create your function as per your requirement. You can create your own function. Okay, I hope you understood this. Okay, now let's see another question. Like there's a you need to create a function to calculate square. Let's do this as well. Define square and give a parameter. Now what do we need to print? A into a, which is the square of the number. Now just call the function. How do we call the function? Square parenthesis number, any number that you want to whose square you want to calculate. Suppose 7, the square will be 49. Let's see is it correct or not. The square is 49 as we have got. This is the correct, so this means that our code is correct. Okay, now another question, which is finding cube. Let's do this as well. Just change this and add another this. Like either you can do this like 3a into a into a, or 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 you can do this as well. A double asterisk 3. So let me just change the number. It is 3. 27 will be the output. Okay, I have got 27. I hope you are understanding all this and solving this side by side, because then only it will be useful for you. So now the next things are like factorial, greatest number, even and odd. You can do all these things. I hope you can do this. Average and simple interest. Simple interest formula is P into T into R divided by 100, where P is principal amount, T is time, and R is rate. Okay, so now we have entered the last phase of the lecture. Now these are the common mistakes that you can make. So forgetting to call the function. Yes, if you do not call the function, no matter how many times you execute the code, you won't get any output. Why? Because calling a function is necessary. Now missing the return when needed. So sometimes you need return statement there. Just like we created a recursion, we did not. If we do not write return, it will it won't stop. Okay, now incorrect indentation. Indentation is something that you need to keep in mind while learning Python. So indentation is very necessary in Python. The parameters mismatch, we have seen that when we reverse the order of the para arguments, we are getting different kind of output and using local variable outside the function. So as we know, local variable cannot be used outside the function, so you do not have to use it there. Now summary of the lecture. Today we learned a lot of things. We learned about functions. So what are function? We created a lot of functions. Then function call. How do we call a function? Why do we call a function? And what will happen if we do not call a function? We learn these things. Then parameters. What are parameters? Like parameters are variable name that is defined inside a function. Okay, then arguments, that we actual data that we pass while calling the function. We learned about that. Then local variable, global variable, we learned this. Okay, then we learned parameters, argument. Then we also learned about return statement. What is the use of return statement? Okay, then we learned local, global. Okay, we learned this. And then we learned about recursion. Okay, recursions are necessary. Working is similar, like how to loops, but little different while defining. Okay, now in the next lecture, we will discuss about strings, very important topic. Okay, we will be discussing basics of string, then indexing of string. What is indexing of string? We will be discussing string slicing, string methods, the different kind of operations that we can do, formatting of string, escape characters, and string operations. Okay, these are some of the things that will be covered in the next lecture. I hope this lecture was beneficial to you. You learned a lot of things. Okay, so before ending this lecture, I want you to solve all those questions that I have given. So all the mini projects that I have said to you to like make. This will be very this will help you to form your basic like foundation. Like it will help you to make your foundation very strong. The most like the stronger foundation that you make right now will help you in future very much. Okay, so I want you to have a very strong foundation. And this is it, guys. I hope this was very good. Okay, this is going to be difficult part. Like recursion is little complex. If you do not understand, in the one go, you can again watch this video anytime you want. This is something like you do not need to be very disheartened if you do not think. If you thought that this is something that I cannot understand, you are wrong. Everybody does like things in the same way, so you can just watch it again. This is little complex. I understand that, but with practice, after solving some questions, you will be very comfortable when you solve factorial using recursion and all. You will be able to understand the concept in a very easier manner. Okay, so I want you to solve all the practice questions that I have given to you. And this is it. Thank you for watching this video. I am Ritunjay Thakur. I hope this was very beneficial. This is the 6th lecture. Now in the 7th lecture, we will discuss about string, a lot of things about string. And this is going to be very, like, next lecture will be very interesting. So I do not want you to miss next lecture. Okay, so that's it. This is it. Thank you for watching my lecture.